Okay, so Unit 3, Chapter 13 is traveling to school or work. Oops, this is pretty. So there's two different things that we're looking at in this chapter. Conversing about commuting. Hey, that was an alliteration. So simple little questions to ask. Where do you live? Right. So my cat is going a little crazy. You live. See, there he is. Hi. All right, I'll pull you in just tight for this, and then don't go in. Okay. So you live where, right? You can also sign where do you live because it don't show your butt to have some pride. Um, so you can sign like where do you live? You can. It's very short, and it's a pretty common question, but it's much more ASL to go. You live where? I'm going to leave this here just because it's probably more entertaining than I am. Now notice, like you can sign you live where, or you live where. This is the advanced form, the one-handed form. So I just want you to be aware of what it looks like. You might not be doing that, but you'll see it, especially if someone's petting a cat. And remember, eyebrows go down. You set up a topic. Live where? Okay. And then the other person would respond by and explaining, telling where. Oh, over in Cleveland. And if you know the direction, it helps. Otherwise, you could just sort of set up an arbitrary place. How, come, and class, right? So set it up over there, and then I would ask, so you come here to class, how? Class, we did that way ago, class. So come to class, how? Or how? You'll see some people will fingerspell it. So you come class, how? Then they explain. Drive, fly, walk, bicycle. So we'll go through a whole bunch of different ones. And again, we're now starting to play with signing space. Where I set home over here to come to here to class. And now the person signing to me, you, are going to also include that as a location. You're not going to set my home over here because I've already said my home is over here. And that's one way of keeping things much more clear. And I'm getting some glare off of these lights. It's awful. This room is the worst for recording. And then the next question, how long? Because this is the WH question. You don't have to reverse. Long, how? How long? How long? Or how many minutes? How many hours? That is actually more appropriate than how long. Because this is a very English topic. We're not talking about length, right? We're not talking about how many miles. In ASL, we tend to talk about timing. So how much time? So the second of them, as opposed to how to come to class, is where do you work? You work where? Everything just flashed for a second. Did I get logged off? I don't know. You work where? Same thing. Oh, over there. Set up a new point. How do you go to work? You go how? Then explain. Oh, I drive. Right. So drive. And we'll go over the vocab. And how long? How many minutes drive? Okay. So those are the two conversations we're working on. So the key phrases are you, city. So we just set up. They said where they're from. You. So come to here. Class. How? Or city, come here. How many minutes? or you home, you home, come to work, how? Okay. So whatever locations, you could go from home to work or home to class. Once you set up a location, you just use it. And again, the WH, you try to put them right at the end. If you do find yourself signing at the beginning, how do you, I signed it wrong. That's okay. Just repeat at the end. Okay. So just to sort of get used to putting the question at the end of the word, at the end of the sentence. And then the spatial agreement of once you set up where an area is, maintain that. So here's the vocab. We did how do you come here, or how do you go there? How many minutes? So go. So this is travel. If it comes towards you, it's the English word come here, right? As opposed to go, but you can go across. Come and go. In English, there are very specific ways. I think the difference between it's more subtle, and in ASL, there's just one. It's this handshake, and it agrees with whatever location you're going. So go and come, same thing. Car. Drive is moving both hands. Car is playing with the steering wheel. You wouldn't say I drive over here, because it just looks weird. You have a car and you drive. Okay. So there are two different things. Bicycle, and oftentimes if I bike, go. There is a classifier we use for bicycle or for any vehicle. Bike or car. Generally, you would only use this if you're going to show something that happens, like you have to turn right, or you hit someone, or whatever. Go is just a clear enough verb. Bus, bus. There are some signs for bus depending on the city. Some in Rochester we used to use bus. I think in DC it was bus as well, two B's. But people would also use car or truck, all initialized. So I think now people are just bus, just going with the fingerspell. Bus. Train. Take two U's and put them on top of each other. Right. It's also the railroad tracks and the railroad ties, or as I prefer it, here's the railroad tracks and the person tied to them. Motorcycle. I got my hand smacked by a deaf friend who's a Harley Davidson enthusiast, who I used to sign motorcycle. Okay. So I was interpreting for him and I signed motorcycle and he went whack. I'm like, what? Because you don't use this hand. There's nothing to turn over here. He signed it all in ASL. You do this. If anything, you do this with this hand. I'm like, okay. So ever since then, my hand tingles to make sure I do only the right hand with this. I don't know if left-handed people do motorcycle. I would think not, or he'd smack you. Ride in or ride with. If this is the car or the vehicle, and this is the person, and you sit on the thumb, right? So to ride with or go together. So any of that combination. We went together. So you came, I got in your car, and we left. Or I go, you get in, and we'll go. So it makes the same idea. Walk, and these are the feet. And I recommend doing this. Some people do this, and it looks more like doggy paddle. Walk. You'll also see some people sign it with threes. I'm not sure where that comes from, but I don't find it helpful because this is the sign for awkward, and I'd rather not be the awkward person walking. It also looks sort of like chicken feet. So I do it with a full hand. Work. 2 taps, two fists. You'll sometimes see this. This is an older sign for work. Work, 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 work. Like school, right? School, work. Home, where you eat and where you sleep. Could be my house, or home could be, whatever your residence is. Class. You can do it with a C. I will recommend doing it with more of an open hand. Class. It's a little less Englishy. Always. 100% of the time. Always, 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 always. Sometimes, just tap it once in a while. It's kind of like, don't, but it's in the palm of the hand. Sometimes you're doing a circle. So it means not all the time, but every so often. Never. Just slash a 7 in the air. Never. And where. So a lot of these we've already done. They're just going to be focused, highlighted in this chapter. So we have car. And you can add red car if you want to practice sentences with have red car. My car is red. My Jeep is red. Bicycle. And there's no difference between different styles of bicycle unless you're going to be like describing it. So just bicycle. I don't think there's a sign for unicycle or tricycle. So if that applies, I apologize. Bus, B-U-S. Eventually it will get faster. But for right now, just B-U-S. Bus, B-U-S, B-U-S. Don't jump. Don't skip the U. Or it's B-S. Sorry, it's been a long day. Motorcycle. Remember, smack. Motorcycle. Train. Or walk. Cool. So boom. Okay, makes sense? So always, never, sometimes. So there are a couple conversations. There's conversation 4. And some of the conversations are long. If you have problems downloading a video, let me know. Because I can always, some I already have smaller versions of, or I can convert it down and make it a little bit more Wi-Fi friendly or cell phone friendly. I try to keep them as clear as possible. So it may mean you have to wait for them to download. But if that's being a problem, let me know, and I may be able. I can't upload these to YouTube because these are proprietary to the publisher. And if I do put it up on YouTube and it gets pulled, I get a strike against me because it's published material. So, and I don't want to lose my YouTube channel just because of these videos. No, Dodge. Oh, buddy, I'm so sorry. You can't walk on my laptop. Okay, here, I'll move this, I'll close this, and then you can come up here. Okay, I'm sorry. Got trouble, sorry. Okay, turn off my ringer, because invariably I'm going to get a phone call in the middle of this. So look at the conversations. And I included the gloss with these conversations now that they're getting a little bit more complex. Watch them in whatever order you want. They also lay out where the things are that they're talking about. And you can notice how they agree. Once something is set, it's always set up there. Like, so if I set up class here, whoever I'm talking to is going to point here. I could be talking to a whole group of people, and they're still going to point to that location. So tracing the route. I don't like that they use the Berkeley Fremont signs from Northern California for these videos. I wish they had done more generic signs because I've never talked about Fremont except in this context. There's an example of the modifying verbs. and that, which direction you're going, point to point. Then there's a narrative, and we're going to start expanding and putting all of these concepts we've signed in previous units, previous chapters as well, into one thing. So you'll see a couple of examples of stories. Take a look for these things in what the person's talking about. And eventually you're going to want to do it yourself. So here's the answers about Kyle. And I put the answers in there, again, challenge yourself. Narrative 2 for April. And then, so again, we come back to this model of right. And you know what? I don't like this spacing here. So I am going to take the second to move that spacing. I like that better. All right. And then the work one. Let's set it up. So now start to craft your own narrative. This is the kind of thing when you have your first real conversation with someone that these are going to be the things you talk about. So anticipate that. We've got more a return to the vocabulary, and I included all of the vocab in here. Okay. So it's really about practicing just even with yourself, if you just record yourself, or with another classmate. I wear glasses. We're not getting into directions. It's simply a statement of, I drive here, how many minutes? So keep it simple, and keep practicing with stuff you know. All right. Sweet. 313.